Hello and good afternoon. I'm Mona Priya. Welcome to Updates at Noon. The government plans to provide funds to help raise the salaries of employees in Malaysia in an effort to help ease the burden faced by the people. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the matter had been discussed during a cabinet meeting.
Kita akan sediakan sejumlah wang atau 1 bilion, 2 untuk cari jalan naikkan. Kalau gaji pekerja kita 2,000, 2,200, kita cari jalan untuk tambah gaji dia daripada duit kerajaan. Itu cadangan kita. Saya tidak akan bertolak ansur mempertahankan hak setiap rakyat, apa juga agama, apa juga kaum. Hak dia jangan kita khianat. Ini majoriti yang dengar Melayu. Orang India ada, Cina ada. Kalau nak selamatkan negara ini, tunjuk compassion dan kasih sayang kepada semua rakyat.
He was speaking at the Jelajah Perpaduan Madani Grand Finale in Bestari Jaya last night. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Anwar said the government would be able to focus more on national development if the Pakatan Harapan and Barisan National Alliance could defend Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pulau Pinang in the state elections this Saturday, as well as gain another 1 or 2 more states. In other development, Datuk Seri Anwar has submitted a proposal to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Billah Shah to take strict action against any party that ridicules and takes advantage of Islam for their agenda. Having discussed the proposal with his deputies, the Prime Minister said the proposal had also been submitted to the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah.
Tunggu 12 saya pulang. Selepas itu, ya, apapun keputusan, saya ada bincang dengan saudara Zaid, saudara Fadilah. Saya dah kemukakan kepada Tuanku Sultan Selangor, kepada Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Saya kata, ini bukan soal politik. Saya tak peduli dia sokong siapa, parti mana, itu hak dia. Tetapi dia tunggang agama, permainkan hukum Allah, menghukum orang, memfitnah orang. Saya nak bagi tahu malam ini, after this Prime Minister, if you support, will not tolerate this nonsense.
The Royal Malaysian Police PDRM will tighten security measures at strategic locations, including state palaces. That might be the focal points of certain parties after the results of elections in 6 states are announced this Saturday. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said for this, police have mobilised some 36,000 officers and personnel in the 6 states. Elaborating further, Tan Sri Razaruddin said it was to ensure the safety and public order post-elections, adding that the security at state palaces was vital as the police did not want any disruptions, especially during the middle of the night after results were announced.
Kita telah pun bersiap saga. Tempat-tempat strategi ini memang kita ada. Terutamanya di istana. Kita tidak mahu juga istana ataupun maksudnya Sultan ini diganggu tengah malam untuk angkat sumpah tengah malam. Kita pun akan menentukan bahawa keselamatan istana itu sangat penting.
Speaking at the press briefing in Bukit Aman, the IGP said the police will ensure any transition of state government to take place in a peaceful manner. The Works Ministry will ensure that there are no roadworks on roads and highways in the 6 states involved in tomorrow's state elections from today until Sunday. Deputy Works Minister Datuk Seri Abdul Rahman Muhammad said the measure was being taken to ensure smooth traffic flow during the period.
Kita KKR bersiap sedia dan bagi jalan-jalan persekutuan. Saya minta juga supaya kalau ada permainan-permainan yang sedang laksanakan juga mereka memberhentikan sepanjang 3 hari ini. Kita membuat lencongan-lencongan yang boleh memudahkan para pengguna jalan raya untuk balik pilihan raya. Saya tahu penghuni luar dia balik nak selesa. Saya dah berjumpa dengan jurutera daerah dan saya pun dah bertemu dengan Puan OSPD kita minta supaya melancarkan perjalanan sempena pilihan raya negeri.
The Deputy Minister said this after officiating the Desa Cergas program at Pasir Linggi, Post Lebir in Gua Musang yesterday. Now, members of the public who intend to return to their hometowns or polling locations in conjunction with the state elections tomorrow are reminded to plan their journey ahead. It is projected that some 1.9 million vehicles are expected to travel daily on the North-South Highway ahead of polling day. In a statement, Plus Operations Senior General Manager Muhammad Yusuf Abdul Aziz said that highway users are expected to face longer travelling times on the highway due to the increase in vehicles between 11th and 12th August compared to normal days. At the same time, Plus has also temporarily stopped maintenance, upgrading or construction work that require lane closures on the highway, except for emergency work such as accident clearance and critical emergency repair work. For more updates on the traffic situation, highway users can download the Plus mobile application or follow them on their social media pages. Up next in the foreign segment, Ecuador declares a state of emergency following presidential candidate assassination. You're watching Updates at Noon. Ecuador declared a state of emergency on Thursday and asked the FBI to help probe the assassination of a popular presidential candidate whose death has highlighted the once peaceful nation's decline into a violent hotbed of drug trafficking and organized crime. Police said 6 Colombians have been arrested in the murder of Fernando Villavicencio, a 59-year-old journalist and anti-corruption crusader who was gunned down as he left a campaign rally in the capital Quito on Wednesday night. Authorities said another attacker, also Colombian, was shot dead by security agents. Interior Minister Juan Zapata said the assailants belong to organized crime groups without specifying which ones. Shocked citizens expressed their frustration with the burgeoning violence in the South American country, which has seen its murder rate soar as drug gangs wage bloody turf wars. President Guillermo Lasso declared a 2-month state of emergency and said the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation had accepted the country's request for help, with a delegation arriving soon. West African leaders have approved the deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger, an intervention that will take place as soon as possible. This was announced by Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara yesterday. The ECOWAS regional bloc did not provide details on the force to be deployed or the timetable for action against the military officers who seized control of Niger 2 weeks ago, deposing Mohamed Bazoum as president. But on his return to Abidjan from the emergency summit in Abuja, Nigeria, Ouattara said the chiefs of staff will have other conferences to finalize things, but they have the agreement of the Conference of Heads of State for the operation to start as soon as possible. Ouattara said Ivory Coast would provide a battalion of 850 to 1,100 men, alongside soldiers from Nigeria and Benin and other countries who would join them. Earlier in Abuja, ECOWAS Commission President Omar Touré announced the deployment of the bloc's force. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken voiced support for ECOWAS without explicitly backing its call for military intervention. A wildfire swept through the resort town of Lahaina on Hawaii's Maui Island, killing at least 36 people, leaving behind smoldering ruins and forcing thousands to flee. Now, the wildfires, which began on Tuesday night, took most of Lahaina's residents and visitors by surprise, forcing some to run for their lives and jump into the ocean to escape the fast-moving inferno. The fire burned cultural treasures such as Lahaina's historic 18-meter-tall banyan tree, which marked the spot where Hawaiian King Kamehameha III's 19th century palace stood. Some 271 structures were damaged or destroyed. The Honolulu Star Advertiser reported, citing official reports from flyovers conducted by the U.S. Civil Air Patrol and the Maui Fire Department. The Maui blazes began on Tuesday night as powerful winds from the Hurricane Dora, hundreds of miles to the southwest, fanned the flames. By Thursday, the strong winds had largely abated. The town is one of Maui's prime attractions, drawing 2 million tourists to the island each year, or about 80% of its visitors. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday declared the wildfires as a major disaster, unblocking federal funds to supplement state and local recovery efforts for the hard-hit island.
Esports and gaming, then be sure to stay tuned to RTM because something new is coming.
Welcome back. Days after Chinese boats disrupted a delivery, a military commander said the Philippines will send more supplies to a remote outpost on a reef in the disputed South China Sea as early as next week. A resupply mission last Saturday couldn't unload all of its cargo after China Coast Guard ships blocked and fired water cannon at Philippine Coast Guard vessels and charter boats carrying food, water and fuel for Filipino troops stationed on 2nd Thomas Shoal. The incident has ignited a diplomatic row between Manila and Beijing and sparked international criticism of China's actions. One of the charter boats carrying supplies to the outpost on Saturday was prevented from reaching the shoal, while the others succeeded in unloading its cargo. Beijing claims almost the entire waterway, through which trillions of dollars of trade passes annually, and has ignored an international ruling that its assertion has no legal basis. However, the Philippines has insisted that 2nd Thomas Shoal is within its exclusive economic zone, and therefore its efforts to resupply troops and repair the BRP Sierra Madre are legitimate. Now, Russia launched its first moon landing spacecraft in 47 years today in a bid to be the first nation to make a soft landing on the lunar South Pole, a region believed to hold coveted pockets of water ice. Now, the Russian lunar mission, its first since 1976, is racing against India, which launched its Chandrayaan-3 lunar lander last month, and more broadly with the United States and China, both of which have advanced lunar exploration programs targeting the lunar South Pole. A Soyuz 2.1V rocket carrying the Luna 25 craft blasted off from the Vostochny Cosmodrome 5,550 kilometers east of Moscow at 2:11 a.m. local time. Russia's space chief Yuri Borisov told Interfax on Friday the lander is expected to touch down on the moon on 21st August. Russian space agency Roscosmos previously pegged 23rd August as the landing date. Luna 25, roughly the size of a small car, will aim to operate for a year on the moon's south pole, where scientists at NASA and other space agencies in recent years have detected traces of water ice in the region's shadowed craters. Major powers such as the United States, China, India, Japan, and the European Union have all been probing the moon in recent years, with no country successfully making a soft landing on the South Pole so far. Rough terrain makes a landing there difficult, but the prize of discovering water ice could be historic. Meanwhile, Virgin Galactic on Thursday blasted 3 tourists to the edge of space aboard its air-launched VSS Unity space plane. Now, the rocket-powered VSS Unity craft dropped from the carrier plane over New Mexico around 9:20 a.m. local time and blasted its 4 passengers, a company instructor and 3 tourists to an altitude of roughly 88.51 kilometers. Anna Mayers, 18, and her mother, Keisha Shafaf, 46, both from Antigua, won their tickets in a competition and became the first mother-daughter duo to fly to space together, while John Goodwin became the second person with Parkinson's disease to go to space, describing the trip as completely surreal. The carrier mothership VMS Eve took off from Spaceport America in the state of New Mexico at 8:30 a.m. local time. 50 minutes into the flight, the Unity rocket ship separated from Eve as planned. A short time later, the passengers were given the all-clear to unbuckle and enjoy zero gravity, all at an altitude of around 85 kilometers. The 3 then returned to their seats and strapped themselves back ahead of the return journey. They successfully landed back at Spaceport America just over an hour after taking off. Still to come, Spurs agree to Bayern's bid for Kane. That and more in our sports segment.
Dengan misi mesti menang, semangat perjuangan terus diledakkan dalam setiap pertembungan. 14 pasukan, satu sorakan. Liga Super 2023 bersama kami di RTM, rakan penyiar MFL Liga Malaysia 2023.
Starting our sports segment today, national men's singles shuttler Li Zijia has a tough road ahead of him in the upcoming World Badminton Championships in Copenhagen, Denmark. Based on Badminton World Federation BWF draw, the world number 13 shuttler faces a tricky path in his quest for glory, as he will have to get past world number 5 Jonathan Christie of Indonesia in the opening round. However, Zijia, winner of the 2022 Badminton Asia Championships, has the potential to spring a surprise following a significant improvement in his performance when he reached the semi-finals of the Australian Open last week. Zijia was quick to point out that he had not had much time to prepare for the World Meet, which is less than 2 weeks away. Meanwhile, Ng Zi Yong also faces a tough passage after being drawn against 2022 edition bronze medalist Zhao Zunping of China. And on the foreign front, German champions Bayern Munich reportedly has reached a deal with Tottenham Hotspur for the transfer of England captain Harry Kane. Now, Bayern reportedly have agreed to pay Tottenham £88 million upfront for Kane, with add-ons taking the deal close to £100 million, a record for the club. The Bavarians, who won the league for a record 11th successive time last season, have been desperate to bring Kane in as they look to boost their attack and battle for the Champions League title once more. Kane now has a decision to make, and there were real doubts about the move happening after all, with sources saying that he was increasingly likely to stay at Spurs. Though there is still no consensus over the issues that need to be resolved between the England captain and Spurs if he is to join Bayern, some progress has been made. Tomorrow could be a significant day in the future of Kane as negotiations continue. With 1 year left on the forward's contract and with no indication he will renew his deal, Spurs felt agreeing a move for the best worst-case scenario. Tottenham will begin their Premier League season with match against Brentford on Sunday. Meanwhile, Brazilian forward Neymar Jr.'s future with Paris Saint-Germain remains unclear on the eve of the League One season, which is scheduled to kick off today. The 31-year-old star is under contract with the French side until 2025, but speculation has been mounting that he wants to leave the club. Neymar joined PSG from Barcelona in 2017 for a record transfer fee of €222 million. While he has won 5 league titles so far, the Brazilian forward hasn't been able to taste success in the Champions League. PSG have already seen Argentine superstar Lionel Messi leave for Inter Miami, while Kylian Mbappe's future in Paris is also in doubt. Real Madrid goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois will be sidelined for several months as he requires surgery after suffering a torn anterior cruciate ligament or ACL in his left knee during Thursday's training session. The 31-year-old Belgian international left the practice field in tears, and an MRI scan confirmed the ACL tear. The club did not confirm how long Courtois will be sidelined for, but according to reports in Spain, the former Chelsea and Atletico Madrid goalkeeper will be out for at least 6 months. This is the first serious injury sustained by Courtois in his career. Courtois, 31, played 43 games across all competitions for Madrid last season, his 5th campaign with Los Blancos. Carlo Ancelotti's side have only one other goalkeeper in their first-team squad, Ukraine's Andriy Lunin. Real Madrid, who finished second behind great rivals Barcelona last season, opened their new campaign against Athletic Bilbao on Saturday. Moving on to the Premier League, Manchester City will not be able to scale the dizzying heights of last season's treble-winning campaign. Pep Guardiola's side have won 5 of the last 6 Premier League titles and last season, and also won the FA Cup and expanded their domestic dominance to the continent as they lifted the Champions League trophy for the first time. Despite City undoubtedly being favourites in every competition they will feature in this season, Guardiola was rather guarded about the team's prospects.
No, I don't think so. It will be possible to do what you have done last season. So it's one in a lifetime. So I said to the players, forget about it. So we climbed the highest mountain last season, what we have done, but the last 2 days we came down to the mountain and we start from the, from there, where everyone with the same intention, and will be a lot of difficulties to climb as high as possible in our level, the mountain, and we'll see.
City will take on against a familiar face in Vincent Kompany, with the former City captain having played under Guardiola from 2016 to 2019 before beginning his managerial career. Kompany took charge of Burnley last season, guiding them to promotion after winning the second-tier championship, with Guardiola saying that the Lancashire club had been completely transformed under the Belgian. Guardiola added that the new signing, Josko Gvardiol, who was signed for €90 million from Bundesliga club RB Leipzig last week, could make his debut against Burnley. And on to tennis. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina battled back from a third-set deficit on Thursday to beat Casper Ruud 7-6, 4-6, 7-6 and deny the third seed a place in the Canadian Open quarterfinals. Ruud was 2 points away from victory at 5-3 30 love in Toronto before Davidovich Fokina served his way out of trouble. The match came down to a third-set tiebreak, and the Norwegian dug himself into an early hole with some tentative serving and poor forehands, and Davidovich Fokina claimed the win with a drop shot. Up next for Spaniard is American Mackenzie McDonald, who reached his first quarterfinal for Masters 1000 tournament by dispatching Canadian Milos Raonic 6-3, 6-3. Later, Australia's Alex de Minaur beat 8th seed Taylor Fritz 7-6, 4-6, 6-3 in a topsy-turvy battle to reach the quarters of a Masters 1000 tournament for his first time as well. De Minaur trailed 1-5 in the first set against Fritz, who squandered 2 set points on serve. The Australian eventually sealed the opener on his 6th set point and took advantage of some loose hitting from Fritz in the third set to advance after 2 hours, 28 minutes. Now, Fritz is 9th in the Pepperstone ATP Live Race to Turin and was hoping to boost his chances of qualifying for the Nitto ATP Finals with a deep run in Toronto. In another match, Daniil Medvedev continued his standout 2023 ATP Masters 1000 record on Thursday when he cruised past Lorenzo Musetti 6-4, 6-4 to reach the quarterfinals. The second seed was watertight off the ground throughout the 1 hour 33-minute clash, hitting the consistency to limit opportunities for Musetti. Medvedev recovered from a dip in concentration in the second set when he squandered his break advantage, but responded immediately to earn his 48th win of the season. Medvedev is chasing his third Masters 1000 crown of the season, having triumphed in Miami and Rome. He also reached the final in Indian Wells, holding a 22-3 record at Masters 1000 events this year. If the world number 3 clinches the title in Toronto, he will join Carlos Alcaraz on a tour leading 6 trophies this season. The 27-year-old, currently third in the Pepperstone ATP Live race to Turin, will next face Alex de Minaur.
Tamasya sukan terulung di benua Asia kini bakal beraksi. Satu hati dengan semangat kesukanan. Perjuangan dalam keharmonian. Sukan Asia ke-19 Hangzhou 2022 bersama RTM, penyiar rasmi.
And with that, we reach the end of today's Updates at Noon. Our leading story today, government plans to prepare funds to raise workers' salaries to ease rakyat's burden. Do join us again tonight for more updates at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. I'm Mohana Priya, Malaysia Madani, Tekad Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan.
Kewajipan pada negara. Marilah mari pergi mengundi. Jangan lupa kewajipan pada negara. Marilah mari pergi mengundi. Jangan lupa kewajipan pada negara. Marilah mari pergi mengundi. Jangan lupa kewajipan pada negara. Marilah mari pergi mengundi.